Today's episode on the Masculine Health Solutions podcast will revolve around the concept that obviously everybody, including me, would like definite, solid answers to. And unfortunately, they don't really exist. But let's explore how we can quantify making these PE gains. Obviously, the question I'm talking about is how long will it take for me to see some gains? All right, I can't tell you exactly how long it will actually take, but I can tell you about the number one contributing factor, in my opinion, that will lead to you making or not making gains. All right, guys, let's dive in. Are you actually ready to start making length gains? If you are, hit up geltogain.com and definitely check out the most comfortable penis hanger on the market. Now, this hanger has been made and crafted by an engineer who does PE himself. You can definitely check him out at geltogain and on Twitter, and definitely check out the videos that Daniel Gray has on geltogain.com. Again, that's geltogain.com. And if you want to get 10% off the most comfortable penis hanger on the market, all you got to do is click MHS10. All right, guys, that's MHS10 for 10% off. All right, guys, welcome back. And for all the guys that have been asking me, hey, man, are you still alive? I haven't heard from you in a while. Truth of the matter is I've just been working on some stuff for the site. I've been trying to learn more about SEO and just, writing some articles and just trying to get more things kind of updated and just where I need to be. But more than anything, guys, I've just been working on the website. So that's where I've been. I'm not missing in action or anything. I'm just working on a couple things simultaneously along with the podcast. But that being said, one of the most recurring questions that I constantly get on Instagram is how long will it actually take for me to make gains? If I do 1,000 hours of extending or 1,000 hours of pumping, will that result in X? And X being, will it give me again an inch? Will I gain, 2 centimeters in length? People are looking for ways to quantify PE. And what I'm here to do today more than anything is just explain that there is no real way for me to quantify, or anybody for that matter. Look at it this way. If I give you a workout plan, right, and I give the same workout plan to your friend, and let's say we're both going to work on the same thing, the exact same plan, exact same meal plan, everything is virtually identical, as Bruce Buffer would say, right? Everything's identical. This is where genetics will come into play, right? And you're going to see a vast difference in how these two dudes, basically in the way that they respond to the program, right? There's going to be a lot of other extrinsic factors that, sure, they may factor into a certain degree, but let's say two dudes follow the exact same program in the exact same way with the exact same frequency, you're going to see two different results. Reason for that is that every single human out here has been built different. Some of us are blessed with incredible vascularity. You're a true mesomorph and you got high testosterone levels. You're just blessed genetically. You're in that upper echelon of the gene pool, and certain guys are blessed like that. Other guys, hey, you might not be blessed in the fact that you're a true mesomorph. You might be a true ectomorph. So for you, it's a little bit more difficult to put on muscle mass. Weight gain may be an issue, but obviously if you work hard at it, you can obviously make gains as well. But it's not as easy as it would be for the true mesomorph. And, let's say an endomorph, it's going to be even more difficult. But when it comes to the strength realm, you got a big advantage on, just a pure meso. Not saying that mesos ain't strong. I'm not saying that at all, right? But I am saying that there are advantages to, different body types. And when it comes to PE, there's a lot of underlying factors that may be contributing to whether you will make gains or not. And one of those biggest, or in my opinion, one of the biggest underlying issues with everybody is just your genetics. How are you built genetically? Are you going to respond good to a workout program? Or if you're doing a program, let's say you're doing a manual program and it works well, and you decide, I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to try pumping. And let's say pumping gives you negative physiological indicators. Let's say your erectile quality goes down. Let's say you get discoloration, and you went from doing awesome with the manual exercise. Maybe you put on about an inch in size. You got some girth, solid vascularity and all that. And all of a sudden, you start pumping and it's like, it ain't doing you no favors. In fact, it has been detrimental. It's just the way that your body is responding to it. And when it comes to PE, I feel that one of the biggest things that we have to keep in mind is we have to explore different ways to go about doing it. Number one thing you got to do, though, you got to know, hey, am I focusing on girth or am I focusing on length? And you should focus on one of those exclusively, just so that you can make more gains in that department. Most guys always go for length first and then, focus on the girth as a secondary or something that's kind of in the back burner until they make the length gains that they so desire. Other dudes are kind of like, hey, you know what? I'm good with the length that I have and I'm just looking to make these girth gains, which also exists. A lot of guys have been hitting me up on Instagram saying, hey man, I'm just want to make these girth gains. I don't really care about length. And, in that case, you do got to explore different avenues. You got to go down, the roads less traveled and see what really works for you and how you respond to it, which is the biggest thing you got to keep in mind. You got to keep in mind, how do I respond to this exercise? If it's negative, my recommendation is stop doing it. If you're clamping and you're in pain and you don't like it and the whole experience is uncomfortable, and beyond the discomfort, you just feel that it's not doing you any favors, man, stop. You should totally stop. Or you feel that pumping, is just, I don't know, it's just too hard on the body and the physiological indicators are all telling you that this is bad. Hey, listen to your body and just stop. On the other hand, if you're pumping and you're like, dude, I can definitely see a rise in the thickness. I see gains coming. I see vascularity. My penis is harder. It's rock hard and my wife can't get enough. Then I say, hey, you know what? You stick to pumping and you keep making gains, right? And you got to just check up on yourself and see, hey, how is my erectile quality? How am I reacting to this? How am I responding to this? Psychologically, do I enjoy the workouts or do I absolutely hate them? One thing I remember talking to Daniel about, and it was something that I think rings true in every part of life pretty much. You have to be consistent, but you have to be enjoying it. It can't be causing discomfort, I guess. The less friction, the better. The more a routine can be something that you can just implement into your life with as little friction as possible, the more you will be successful. Like I started off with this podcast, I asked the question that I get all the time is, how much do I need to do to make an inch in gains, to make an inch in length gains, to make girth gains? The truth of the matter is that, there's no real way to know. The only advice that I could truly give you that I know for a fact is what's helped me to make gains is, 1, pay attention to the physiological indicators. If you feel great post-workout, then keep doing it. If something is working, do not try to reinvent the wheel because you don't have to. And obviously in the future, you could definitely add something that's going to cause a little bit more stress on the body, something that'll be a little bit more difficult, some type of progressive overload, or you increase the work capacity or the time that you will spend, the time under tension, right? So that's number one. You gotta listen to the physiological indicators. What are they telling you? If it's positive, then you keep going. If it's negative, you stop, right? That's got to be number one. Number two is you got to be consistent. And that's the thing that kills so many of us in so many areas of our lives, myself included. Consistency is difficult. But as soon as it becomes second nature, in the same way, it's kind of like, hey, I just got to go to the gym today. And you may be hearing that voice in the back of your head that's saying, I'm dead tired, man. I just put in a 12-hour shift. I'd rather just eat Wendy's and go home and maybe, slam back a couple brews and just relax and, watch the boxing match or just watch a movie, something, right? And just relax and take it easy. But when you've already developed that disciplined, that that routine, that regimen where you can't not go to the gym because it's just part of you. It's almost like it's become a part of your DNA, and you just have to go and you just have to get it done. When your PE workouts resemble that, in the same way that you wake up and go to work every day, whether you want to or not, you got to get paid. The thing is, sometimes for us, when it comes to self-motivation, we're a little bit lazy. And you know what? The ROI for working on yourself is way bigger than working for somebody else, at a job site or in an office or wherever, it may be. But sometimes we oftentimes just say, hey, you know what? I'll give myself the day off. I'll just take it easy today. My body needs to rest. Sometimes you just got to push through that, and you just got to stay disciplined, and you got to stay consistent. Like I told you guys in the first episode, I've been on and off doing this for 10 years. And Lord knows if I had just stayed consistent with my approach, and even though I've tried different things, right, and experimented, but if I had just stayed consistent and just, put that work in and day out for those 10, 11 years now, I guess 11 years now, geez. If I had just put in that work in, or maybe more, I think it might actually be 12. Man, I should go look that. I've been doing this for a long time. But what I'm getting at is that the time that you invest in yourself, if you stay disciplined, you stay consistent, and your approach is dialed in, you will make way better gains. And I know I would have made way better gains and more gains had I just stayed more consistent. Instead of being, I'll do it today, I won't do it tomorrow. Or, I'll do it for 3 months straight consistently, and then, I'll stop doing it later on. And I'm holding myself accountable. Like for the past little bit, I've been doing it quite consistent. And like I said before, my goals were to make the girth gains, and I did because I stayed consistent. I pumped every day. Not every day. I pumped about 4 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week. But I was consistent in my approach. And even the days that I did not want to pump, I pumped. The days I didn't want to jelk, I jelked. The days I didn't want to do bundled stretches, I did bundled stretches. And the reason for that is that I wanted to reach the goal that I had in mind, right? And now my goal has changed. And after talking to Daniel and seeing the gains that he's made, and like I said before, guys, you guys definitely check him out on Twitter at Daniel or at Jelk to Gain. Sorry, I was thinking of Daniel's name. But one thing that, and I think it's 100% true, and his approach was just, I'm going to do this every single day, and I'm going to make these gains. And he has, and he did, right? And obviously it's a combination of the ADS and doing that passive healing, which I harp on so much, which is what will lead to the length gains that you're looking for, right? And to me, it's all about that, guys. It's all about that. You want to make sure you stay consistent. You want to make sure you stay disciplined, and you want to make sure that your routine is sharp, right? Your routine is sharp, and you want to make sure you heal in that elongated or in that expanded state for as long as possible, right? You want to make sure you avoid turtling at all costs, baby. You want to make sure you avoid turtling. You don't want that retraction to happen, right? And obviously, these are the factors that I believe, are so magical and what will actually lead to you making gains. Now, the last part of this beautiful formula of mine that I've created is time. Time, guys. There is absolutely no way that you will make gains if you don't put the time in. Now, there's different ways to put the time in. You can do it passively, right? You can invest in yourself and do it passively. You can go about your business and just wear an extender every day. Do some manual stretches for 20 minutes. And if you stay consistent with that every single day, you will most definitely make some gains. Perfect example of this, in Togo, Benin, there is a tribe, the Batamarimba tribe. And what they do is when boys are going through puberty, they actually hook them up with an extender, right? And they basically tell them, all right, wear this extender. And they pretty much just wear that thing for the next, 4 or 5 years. And they wear it straight. And, I imagine they take it off at certain times. But they wear that consistently, right? And they put the time in until they reach their desired length. And then they stop, right? And they no longer wear it. But they have reached their goals. And I think that's super important. And I think, that's one thing that Daniel proved for, in 30 days. Those are some pretty friggin' impressive length gains, right? And that goes to show that if you spend the time, if you spend the time in that elongated state, your body has no choice but to obviously heal itself longer, which is what we're looking for. So that's the one thing that I got to say about time is you want to make sure that you dedicate the appropriate amount of time. And I think the more passive and the more comfortable it is, the more gains you will make, right? And obviously this is theoretical, and this is just kind of the way that I view it. I think the same goes for girth though. And, you want to be as expanded for as long as possible. I almost want my body to create a fictitious state of homeostasis for as long as possible until it becomes real, right? I want to make sure my penis is stretched out for as long as possible, for as tolerable as possible when I'm hanging now, right? And I know that the more time that I hang, this is just part of investing on myself. And over time, I know I got to increase the workload. I know I got to increase the time. And I know I got to milk it for as long as possible at the lower weights, right? Remember what I said before? It's not about getting stronger. We want to get longer. Think bodybuilding versus powerlifting. We're not thinking, 1 rep, bam. Nah, this is a marathon, baby. You got to spend as much time as you can in that elongated state. Right, studies have been done on the body as well and shown that, static stretching, which a lot of people debate, static versus dynamic stretching. And one thing that was found, though, is that muscles did become a little bit elongated for a temporary period of time when they were stretched for 30 minutes or longer. Now, when it comes to the penis, when you're using heat and you're putting that time in and you're healing in that elongated state, using an all-day stretcher, an extender, something of some sort, good things will happen. But the magical element here for us to keep in mind, and myself included, is time, guys. Time. There's no other way around it. You just got to spend the time. And, for some of us, we may view that, as a pain in the butt, but there's no way to get around it. Spend the time on yourself. Spend the time on yourself. Perfect example of this is, you look at the trees growing around you, and you have no idea they're growing at all. You see it one day, it looks like a shrub. You walk by it in a month, and you're like, oh, wow, that tree's, it's kind of come up like a foot. You look at it in 2-3 years, and you're like, holy crap, man, that tree is massive, Or you may not even notice it. But what I'm getting at, the trees you may pay attention to, you'll notice the growth, but the growth kind of happens under the surface. And it's something that it happens with time, but it happens in such a small, slow, very slow tempo. But you just have to give it time, and you can't force these things. And I think that rings 100% true in PE. A lot of these things that, we may not realize are happening under the surface. And I'd say my last thing to keep in mind is just don't be impatient. Don't be impatient and don't try to rush the process. You always want to make sure that you're doing it in a good, healthy way, right? So just make sure you give yourself enough time and you put in the time. Do it consistently and do it with the proper approach. If you put these things together, you got a recipe for success. As far as me giving you, pure quantifiable data that if you use your extender for, X amount of hours, there's really no way for me to know that. And some of you guys may gain faster. Some other guys may gain slower, right? And I know that it all depends on who you are and your body type and what you do. Do you smoke? Smoking ain't the greatest thing. Do you run? Do you do cardio at all? Are you overweight? All these different things play into the health of your penis and obviously in the health and its ability to heal itself. Are you looking for length gains but you don't have an ADS or a hanging device? Those things always play in as well. You got to make sure that you're healing in that elongated state for as long as possible, which obviously brings in the concept of time, guys. And the more time that you spend on working on yourself, that time will amount to something. So stay strong and make sure that, you put these different concepts you make sure that all these elements are being factored into your exercise programs, into your PE regimen. And just make sure, guys, that, pay attention to the physiological indicators. You got to make sure that you're healthy, and you got to make sure that everything is working just fine. All right? Well, that being said, I hope that you invest on yourself, and I hope you stay consistent, stay disciplined, and I hope you do it with the right approach. Again, like I've said before, guys, there's a couple free workouts on the website at masculinehealthsolutions.com. And obviously, if you are looking to make more length gains, definitely hit up geltogain.com. You got to check out Daniel's. He's got all the stuff that you need to make these length gains, man. He's got all the stuff you need, whether it's an ADS or the hanger. I'll include the promo code that I got from Daniel himself, and I will put that into today's show notes. But other than that, guys, stay strong and spend the time on yourself. You are worth the investment. And that does it for today's episode here at the Masculine Health Solutions podcast. That's it for today, guys. Stay strong, stay on your program, and make your gains, baby. You got to make these gains because it's possible. It's possible if you invest the time on yourself, guys. All right, until the next one, I'll see you guys later.